As a public servant in the legislature, I recognized that I was there to serve and to provide a better life for people. That better life has to start with a good foundation, and part of that good foundation is energy. I had the opportunity to serve on the Natural Resources, Environment, and Agriculture Subcommittee for all 14 years that I was in the legislature. There were several of us in the legislature that saw so many different areas that impacted energy within our state, everything from the development to the transmission to conservation to environmental issues. There didn't seem to be a good means to coordinate all of those areas. So we organized a group and invited about 40 people from very diverse backgrounds to come together for the purpose of creating an energy policy for the state. We put together or distilled all of that information down into a legislative bill that I had the privilege of sponsoring in 2006. And so when Governor Herbert was elected, he and his state energy advisor got together with a task force to create what's called the state's 10-year strategic energy plan. Once this strategic plan was put together, I was given the opportunity to sponsor the legislation that created the Office of Energy Development. And of course, that office continues today to facilitate the development of Utah's diverse natural resources. It promotes conservation and energy efficiency, environmental awareness. We surely are a group of people that are willing to collaborate and come up with good policy.
For too many times in our society, we want to create an environmental camp and a business camp and not realize the interface that is deeply shared. Unless they start with that premise, we don't get anything done between the two sides. And it was a thrill to work for Governor Herbert and put together a group of people that worked on that every day. The 10-year energy plan is designed to make sure our state stays economically sound. At the same time, takes care of the beauty, the water, the air, and all the things around us, because we live in this state, we can't get away from those things, and they're one of the great pluses of Utah. The balance of it has survived over the years. So I think bringing those two sides together at that moment was really important. And I loved every minute of it because, you have to deal with the shades of gray back and forth, and you have to convince this person to go here or that person to go there. And so I've learned that humor is a way to get something out of someone that you might not normally get. I won't name names, but I once led an important commission of the state of Utah where we really had some tough verbal sparring that I thought might go into people standing up and going outside. So the next meeting, I rented one of those striped shirts that the referees use, and I walked in with it for the next meeting and said, 5 fouls and you're both out. And the meeting went fine. We can let the future get away from us on what we do poorly today, or we can have a future that we love, that's there for our kids and there for our economy and for our way of life if we work hard now.
I grew up just west of the Capitol building, and I lived in a home that was built by the pioneers. So I'm sure originally it was very dimly lit, if at all, because it was built in the late 1800s. There was a time when I was in high school that we were poor enough that it was hard to keep light bulbs in our house. And I remember one time in particular, we had one light bulb in the house, and to do homework, I had to bring it to where I needed to study. So it was kind of sharing the energy. And it wasn't always like that, but it made me appreciate what energy meant and how it's so basic to our needs. And today we have the opportunity to help 11,000 families light their homes. The Larry H. Miller Group of Companies is a group of about 80 companies. We have organized it into two parts, the automotive and the sports and entertainment. The Vivint Smart Home Arena is now a beautiful building with new, fresh ideas. And of course, we have the solar panels on the roof and a lot of things that make us energy efficient. We built the building in the early 90s. It was built with the particular design it has to make it look like a lantern. So when it came time to remodel it, we realized that it was time to be more energy efficient and to do things that would help us to not only contribute to the community in a clean and safe environment, but to make the building more cost effective. When I had to change roles from being a mother to being involved in the business, I realized quickly that if I'm in a leadership role, I have an opportunity to influence women and help them understand that they can overcome their fears of stepping into the limelight. They can overcome their fears of dealing in a man's world. They can get the education and the experience if they will just step out of a comfort zone and go for it.
Utah is one of the real jewels in the West, real jewels in the world, quite honestly, for a variety of minerals that are produced. I grew up in a small town in eastern Utah called Green River. In the days when I was growing up, there was lots of activity there in the uranium business, and so my interest just automatically moved toward mining because of the influence of my family in mining, especially on my mother's side. Mining has taken a great step toward new technologies, and it's astounding to see just in my career where we've been from mucking with a shovel, for instance. The advent of longwall mining was one of the greatest innovations, and that one mechanization really changed the efficiencies, effectiveness of coal mining. I was a general manager at Sufco for 23 and a half years. Yeah, Sufco's a coal mine, obviously, and it produces, at its heyday in 2006, it was the largest single longwall producer of coal and produced 7.9 million tons. The energy from Sufco alone has the ability to provide about 50% of the entire state's needs for electricity. And we did that from a footprint of disturbance of only 12 and a half acres. And we set some real honest records in terms of productivities, and it's all credit to the kind of people that we were able to attract from rural Utah. But to be recognized as the most productive mine in the United States, and in 2010 and 2012 being recognized as the safest mine any place in the United States, is also being recognized as the safest any place in the world. I've been in lots of places in the world looking at coal mines, and no place do I think there's a better workforce than in rural Utah.